In the vast expanse of space, where stars twinkled like distant memories, humanity had finally achieved what generations had only dreamed of: first contact. The year was 2157, and Earth's first interstellar embassy had been established on a planet that circled a distant red dwarf star. The indigenous people, known as the Celestials, were a deeply traditional society that had mastered both advanced technology and preserved their ancient ways. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the diplomatic vessel Earthbridge, watching through the viewscreen as the purple-tinged atmosphere of New Haven came into view. Her mission was unprecedented. She would be the first human ambassador to participate in the Celestials' sacred ritual of cultural integration. The gravity of the responsibility weighed heavily on her shoulders. Remember, her mentor's words echoed in her mind, this isn't just about signing treaties. The Celestials believe that true understanding comes through complete immersion in their ways. The briefing files had been clear. Every visiting dignitary was expected to learn and honor their traditions, some dating back thousands of their solar cycles. The landing zone appeared below, a circular platform surrounded by towering crystal spires that seemed to sing in the wind. Sarah adjusted her ceremonial robes, specially designed to match celestial customs while incorporating Earth's diplomatic colors. The local leaders, the Council of Wisdom, waited below, their tall, graceful forms adorned with shimmering garments that reflected the light of their twin moons. Ambassador Chen, the ship's eye announced, atmospheric conditions are optimal for descent. The celestial welcoming party awaits. Sarah took a deep breath, reviewing the complex protocol she'd studied for months. One wrong move could unravel years of careful negotiation between their worlds. As the ship touched down, Sarah caught her first glimpse of the celestial high priestess through the viewscreen. The being's ethereal presence commanded attention, her elaborate headdress marking her as the keeper of their most sacred traditions. According to the briefings, she would be the one to guide Sarah through the integration ritual, a ceremony shrouded in mystery that no human had yet experienced. The ship's doors opened with a soft hiss, releasing the scent of alien flowers into the cabin. Sarah's heart raced as she prepared to step onto this new world. The fate of future human-celestial relations rested on her ability to navigate their ancient customs with grace and respect. "Welcome, daughter of Earth," the High Priestess's words resonated in Sarah's mind through the universal translator. "Are you prepared to walk the path of understanding? To learn our ways as we learn yours?" The question carried weight beyond its simple phrasing. This was the moment that would determine if humanity was truly ready for its place among the stars. Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I come seeking wisdom and offering friendship," she replied, using the traditional phrases she had practiced countless times. But before she could continue, the High Priestess raised her hand, her expression unreadable. "The stars have shifted," the priestess announced, her tone carrying an edge that made Sarah's skin prickle. "The ancient signs speak of a trial that has not been invoked in 1,000 cycles. Your path to understanding will be different." The assembled celestials murmured, their crystalline accessories chiming in harmony with their movement. Sarah stood perfectly still, knowing that the next few moments would either open new doors between their peoples or close them forever. What trial awaited her in this alien world? And more importantly, was she truly ready to face it? The High Priestess's iridescent robes shimmered as she descended the crystal steps, each movement deliberate and graceful. Sarah remained motionless, her diplomatic training kicking in as she waited for further explanation. The gathered celestials formed a circle around them, their tall forms casting elongated shadows in the purple twilight. "In our oldest scrolls," the priestess continued, her voice carrying across the landing platform, "there is mention of the star-crossed trial. When the twin moons align at the exact moment of a foreign diplomat's arrival, our ancestors believed it was a sign that this visitor was destined for a greater purpose in our society's evolution." Sarah's mind raced through her briefings, but nothing had prepared her for this. The standard integration ritual was supposed to be a series of formal ceremonies, cultural exchanges, and traditional feasts. Whatever this trial was, it hadn't been in any of Earth's diplomatic files. A soft chime echoed through the air as another celestial stepped forward, their form distinguished by elaborate markings that Sarah recognized as belonging to their historical keeper. The last star-crossed trial was conducted when we first achieved spaceflight, they explained, their translator conveying a tone of reverence. The visitor was from the Andromeda Alliance. Their success brought centuries of prosperity to both our peoples. The wind picked up, carrying the sweet scent of the strange fluorescent flowers that bloomed across the platform. Sarah noticed the Celestials' crystalline accessories beginning to resonate at a frequency that made her skin tingle. The High Priestess raised her hands, and the humming intensified. "The trial requires you to undergo our most sacred ritual of understanding," the priestess explained. "You must spend one full cycle living among our people, not as a diplomat, but as one of us. You will learn our ways, share in our daily lives, and most importantly, you must earn the approval of the Council of Mothers." Sarah's translator briefly flickered. Council of Mothers? This was another term absent from her briefings. The historical keeper stepped closer, their towering form casting a shadow over Sarah. "The Council of Mothers guides our society's growth. They are the keepers of our future, the protectors of our bloodlines. Their wisdom determines which paths our people will follow." The High Priestess's eyes seemed to glow in the fading light. "If you succeed in gaining their blessing, the bonds between our peoples will be strengthened beyond any formal treaty. If you fail," she left the sentence hanging, the implications clear in the sudden silence. Sarah squared her shoulders, feeling the weight of Earth's hopes riding on her decision. This wasn't just about diplomatic relations anymore. This was about proving humanity's readiness to truly join the galactic community. "I accept the trial," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. A sound like distant bells filled the air as the Celestials responded to her acceptance. The High Priestess nodded, satisfaction evident in her ethereal features. "Then let us begin the preparation. You must first be cleansed of your earthly attachments. Your communication devices, your translator, your earth clothing, all must be set aside." Sarah's hand instinctively went to her translator pin, her only link to understanding their language. The historical keeper noticed her hesitation. "Fear not, star-crossed one. The ritual will grant you temporary understanding of our tongue, but you must trust in our ways completely." As the twin moons rose higher in the alien sky, Sarah watched her last connections to Earth being carefully packed away by the celestial attendants. Tomorrow, she would begin a journey unlike anything in human diplomatic history. The Council of Mothers awaited, and with them, the future of human-celestial relations hung in the balance. What secrets lay behind the Celestials' ancient traditions, and what would it truly take to earn the approval of these mysterious matriarchs? Days melted into weeks as Sarah immersed herself in celestial life. The ritual granted understanding of their language had come with an unexpected side effect. She could now perceive the subtle harmonics in their crystal-based communication, the musical undertones that carried deeper meaning than words alone. Her initial awkwardness had given way to a growing appreciation for their ways, though the looming trial before the Council of Mothers weighed heavily on her mind. Living among the Celestials had revealed a society far more complex than Earth's briefings had suggested. Their crystal cities weren't just architectural marvels. They were living instruments, resonating with the collective emotions and thoughts of their inhabitants. Sarah learned to interpret the subtle changes in tone, the way the spires would sing differently at dawn and dusk, marking the rhythm of their daily lives. The High Priestess had assigned Sarah to study under Elder Lyra, a respected member of the community known for her mastery of their traditional arts. Together, they spent countless hours in the Crystal Archives, where Sarah learned of the deep connection between the Celestials' technological achievements and their spiritual practices. Each lesson brought new challenges, but also deeper understanding. Tomorrow, Elder Lyra announced one evening, as the twin moons cast their purple shadows across the learning chamber, you will face the first of the Council's tests. Her crystalline accessories chimed with a note of concern that Sarah had learned to recognize. They will probe not just your knowledge, but your very essence. Are you prepared? Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she arranged the ceremonial crystals before her, a skill she'd been practicing for weeks. "What exactly should I expect?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The complete absence of information about these tests in Earth's diplomatic records now seemed less like an oversight and more like an intentional mystery. Elder Lyra's expression softened, her iridescent features catching the moonlight. The Council of Mothers holds the power to see through any pretense. They guard our future by ensuring only those who truly understand our ways can influence our path. No amount of preparation can help if your intentions aren't pure. That night, as Sarah lay in her crystal chamber, the city psalm took on an ominous tone she'd never heard before. The spires resonated with ancient frequencies, and through her enhanced perception, she could feel the weight of countless generations watching, waiting to see if this human would prove worthy of their most sacred traditions. Dawn brought a silence unlike anything Sarah had experienced since her arrival. The usually melodious crystal cities stood quiet, as if holding their breath. As she followed Elder Lyra through the twisting corridors of the Mother's sanctuary, Sarah noticed that even the celestials they passed moved without their usual musical accompaniment. The entrance to the council chamber loomed before them, a towering arch of living crystal that pulsed with deep, barely audible frequencies. Elder Lyra stopped, turning to face Sarah with an intensity that made the air itself seem to vibrate. "Remember," she whispered, "they will test more than your mind. The council sees into the heart, into the very soul. In all our history, only 3 outsiders have earned their complete approval." The massive crystal doors began to part, releasing a harmonious tone that made Sarah's entire body resonate. Inside, 7 figures sat in a perfect semicircle, their forms nearly invisible behind veils of shimmering energy. The Council of Mothers, the true power behind celestial society, waited to judge whether humanity's first ambassador was worthy of their most sacred trust. As Sarah took her first step into the chamber, the crystal doors sealed behind her with a sound like distant thunder. The air grew thick with ancient power, and the very ground beneath her feet began to pulse with otherworldly energy. What tests awaited her in this sacred space? And more importantly, what would failure mean not just for her, but for the future of human-celestial relations? The chamber's resonance shifted, and Sarah felt a presence brush against her consciousness. The 7 veiled figures of the council remained motionless, yet their collective energy probed her thoughts with an intensity that made her previous experiences with celestial customs seem trivial in comparison. "Daughter of Earth," the central figure's voice echoed not through air, but directly into her mind. "You stand before us during the Great Convergence, a phenomenon we did not share with your people." The chamber's crystals pulsed with deep purple light, revealing intricate patterns that spiraled across the walls. "The alignment of our moons has not just called for the star-crossed trial. It has awakened something far more ancient." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing the twin moons in their orbit. As Sarah watched, their alignment triggered a cascade of energy patterns that she recognized from her studies. But something was different. The harmonics were wrong, discordant in a way that made her newly acquired crystal sense tingle with alarm. "Our seers have witnessed a vision," another council member spoke, her voice carrying undertones of urgency. "The Great Convergence will trigger a resonance cascade throughout our crystal cities. Without proper harmonization, the very foundations of our civilization could shatter." The hologram shifted to show the potential devastation, entire crystal spires collapsing as their harmonic balance failed. Sarah's heart raced as the implications became clear. This wasn't just about passing a cultural trial anymore. The fate of the entire celestial civilization hung in the balance. "But why me?" she asked, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "Surely your own people are better suited to handle this crisis." The council members' veils rippled with energy as they communicated among themselves in frequencies too complex for Sarah to comprehend, even with her enhanced perceptions. Finally, the central figure spoke again. "The ancient texts speak of a time when our crystal harmonics grew too perfect, too rigid. It was an outsider's discordant energy that saved us, introducing new patterns that allowed our cities to evolve." Elder Lyra's teachings suddenly took on new meaning. The hours spent learning to manipulate crystal frequencies, the countless exercises in harmonizing earth rhythms with celestial resonances, they hadn't just been preparing her for a ceremonial trial. They had been preparing her for this moment. "You carry within you the rhythms of earth," Another council member explained, patterns unknown to our crystal matrices. The star-crossed trial is not just about understanding our ways. It is about proving you can bridge the gap between our harmonies and introduce the new frequencies we need to survive. The chamber's crystals began to pulse more rapidly, their light shifting through colors Sarah hadn't even known existed. But be warned, the central figure's voice grew grave. If your frequencies are too discordant, if you cannot find the perfect balance between Earth's chaos and our order, you risk accelerating the collapse. Sarah felt the weight of two civilizations pressing down on her shoulders. One wrong note, one misaligned frequency, and she could destroy the very culture she had come to admire. Yet something deeper stirred within her, a recognition that this moment represented everything humanity had hoped for in reaching the stars, not just cultural exchange, but true symbiosis between worlds. The hologram expanded, showing the critical point of convergence approaching faster than anyone had anticipated. The council chambers began to vibrate with increasing intensity, and Sarah could feel the first harmonics of the great crystal cities beginning to falter. She had hours, at most, to master a symphony of frequencies that the celestials themselves couldn't control. As the chamber's resonance reached a fever pitch, Sarah faced the most crucial decision of her life. Would she risk everything on her growing understanding of celestial harmonics, or would the fear of catastrophic failure force her to step back? The fate of Earth's first true alien alliance, and perhaps the survival of an entire civilization, rested on her choice. Sarah closed her eyes, drawing upon everything she had learned during her time among the Celestials. The chamber's crystals pulsed around her, their frequencies growing more chaotic with each passing moment. Then, she remembered something vital from her training with Elder Lyra: the importance of finding harmony not by forcing change, but by understanding the natural rhythm that existed in all things. In that crucial moment, Sarah did something unprecedented. Instead of trying to impose Earth's rhythms onto the crystal matrix, she began to hum. It started as a simple melody, one her grandmother had taught her as a child. The council members stirred, their veils shimmering as they detected this new vibration entering their sacred space. The holographic display showed the twin moons moving into their final alignment. The crystal spires of the city groaned under the mounting resonance pressure, but Sarah kept humming, gradually weaving in the harmonic patterns she learned from the Celestials. The combination created something entirely new, a bridge between worlds that neither civilization had imagined possible. She understanding the deep song, one of the council members whispered, their voice carrying notes of both awe and apprehension. The chamber's crystals began to pulse in rhythm with Sarah's melody, their light shifting to match the harmonies she was creating. What had started as a simple earth song was transforming into a complex symphony of human emotion and celestial precision. As the great convergence reached its peak, Sarah felt rather than saw the energy cascading through the crystal cities. But instead of shattering under the strain, the crystals began to sing back to her. The entire city was joining her symphony, adding layers of harmony that strengthened rather than destabilized their ancient structures. The high priestess, who had been observing silently from the shadows, stepped forward. The prophecy spoke not of new frequencies, she announced, her voice filled with wonder, but of a new way of listening to the old ones. Your human music, it doesn't just add to our harmonies, it reveals patterns that were always there, waiting to be discovered. The holographic display showed the resonance cascade stabilizing, the crystal cities pulsing with renewed strength. Sarah opened her eyes to find the council members had lowered their veils, revealing faces transformed by understanding. But before they could speak, a deep rumble shook the chamber. From the heart of the crystal matrix, new formations began to grow, structures unlike anything in celestial records. They were neither purely earth-inspired nor traditionally celestial, but rather a perfect fusion of both worlds' principles. The city wasn't just being saved, it was evolving. The star-crossed trial ends, the central council member declared, but something greater begins. Your song has awakened the crystal core, the sleeping heart of our world that has lain dormant since our ancestors first raised these spires. As the new crystals continued to grow, their song carried a message that left both Sarah and the Celestials in stunned silence. The message spoke of other sleeping crystal cores on distant worlds, waiting for the right harmony to awaken them. What they had witnessed wasn't just the salvation of one civilization, but potentially the key to a grand network of crystal cities across the galaxy, each waiting for their own unique song to unlock their full potential. Sarah stood in the transformed chamber, her heart racing with the implications of what had just occurred. She had come to the Celestials seeking diplomatic ties, but had instead discovered a legacy that would forever change both their peoples. As the twin moons completed their alignment, the crystal cities sang with new purpose, and the Council of Mothers rose as one. "The trial is complete," they announced in harmony, "but your journey, our journey, is just beginning. The stars themselves await our song." The crystal cities shimmered with possibility, their song now carrying notes of both Earth's passion and celestial wisdom. What other wonders would this new harmony unlock? And what ancient mysteries still slumbered in the crystal cores of distant worlds, waiting for their own songs to awaken them? In the weeks that followed the Great Convergence, the celestial cities flourished with their new harmonies. Sarah watched in amazement as the crystal structures continued to evolve, incorporating patterns that reflected both human creativity and celestial precision. The Council of Mothers had appointed her as the first guardian of harmonies, a position that bridged their worlds in ways no traditional diplomatic role could have achieved. Elder Lyra, who had been Sarah's first teacher, now became her student in understanding the blend of Earth's musical traditions with crystal harmonics. Together, they documented the changes in the crystal archives, recording how simple human melodies could unlock complex resonance patterns that had lain dormant for millennia. The historical keeper added these findings to their most sacred texts, marking the beginning of a new era in celestial history. The High Priestess called a gathering under the twin moons, where representatives from every crystal city assembled to witness something unprecedented. Sarah stood before them, no longer just Earth's ambassador, but a symbol of what was possible when different worlds truly listened to each other. The crystal spires sang with anticipation as she shared Earth's approval of a new joint mission, the search for other crystal cores across the galaxy. "We have already detected resonance patterns from 3 distant systems," the High Priestess announced, her voice carrying through the harmonic network that now connected all their cities. "Each one bears signatures similar to our own sleeping core. They await their own unique songs, their own awakening." The assembled celestials chimed with excitement, their crystal accessories creating a symphony of hope and possibility. Sarah's original mission of establishing diplomatic relations seemed almost quaint now, compared to the profound connection that had been forged. The Council of Mothers had transformed their ancient integration ritual into something new, the Harmony Trials, where future visitors from other worlds would be invited to share their own songs with the crystal cities. As she prepared for her first return visit to Earth, Sarah stood in the Chamber of Resonance, recording a final entry in both Earth's diplomatic logs and the crystal archives. "We came seeking allies among the stars," she spoke, her words carried by both digital signals and crystal harmonies, "but we found something far more precious. A reminder that the greatest discoveries come not from imposing our way upon others, but from finding the music that exists between our differences." The twin moons cast their familiar purple light across the transformed crystal cities, now more alive with song than ever before. The historical keeper approached Sarah with a gift, a small crystal that hummed with the combined harmonies of both their worlds. "For when you walk among your own people," they explained, "so you never forget the song that bridges our stars." Sarah touched the crystal, feeling its warm resonance against her palm. Earth's first contact with the Celestials had begun as a diplomatic mission, evolved into a trial of understanding, and culminated in a symphony that would echo across the galaxy. As she boarded her ship, the crystal cities sang a farewell melody that carried notes of both celebration and anticipation, for this wasn't an ending, but a prelude to a greater composition. The High Priestess's final words followed her into orbit. "Remember, daughter of Earth and guardian of harmonies, every star has its own song. We have only begun to hear the music of the universe." As Sarah's ship broke through the purple atmosphere, she smiled, knowing that somewhere out there, other crystal cores were waiting, ready to add their voices to the cosmic symphony that would forever unite Earth and the Celestials in their dance among the stars.